What's up, guys? Ninjanik333. We're back with another round of the POW Games and Comics League Cup. This is round 2, table 1. We've got Savi on the left versus Chris on the right. We've seen them plenty of times before at plenty of other events in the Albany area. This is quite a bit south from there, about an hour or two south of Albany, in Port Ewen, New York. Savi on the left is playing Lugia. That is seems to be his pet deck. He's been playing that pretty much since Lugia became a thing. That's what he's been playing most of the time. And then Chris, ever since post-NAIC, has been playing this Lost Box deck. He keeps making small changes each time. I think he did cut the Kyogre back out of it for this event. Savi looks like he did win the coin flip, so he is going to go first. Win the capturing aroma flip as well, so he is able to search for an evolution Pokemon since he flipped heads. If he flipped tails, he would have to search for a basic Pokemon. So here he gets either Lugia V-Star or the Archeops, depending on what is in his hand. For those who don't know what the Lugia deck does, you want to get 2 Archeops in the discard pile and then use Lugia V-Star's V-Star power, which summons 2 colorless single prize Pokemon from your discard pile, or non-rule box, I suppose you should say, because there are Radiant Pokemon in the format. And let me start the round timer. Okay, so so you want to get 2 of the Archeops in the discard pile, use Summoning Star to bring them out, and then the Archeops allow you to search your deck for 2 special energy every turn to attach to your Pokemon. So Lugia is pretty powerful when it gets going. It is still very hard to get going in this post-rotation, just because they don't have access to the they don't really have access to the Quick Ball anymore, or Evolution Incense. You have to play Capturing Aroma instead, which is super inconsistent. But it did gain a new tool in that Squawkabilly you saw he almost went for. Squawkabilly is a pretty good liability. Yeah, Squawkabilly liability. Squawka liability. Alright, I'll stop. In the Lost Box matchup, because it only has 160 HP, so Sableye can just like put 40 down on it one turn, while putting the rest something else, and then on the next turn, take the knockout on the Squawkabilly. So, a little bit rough there. Or you can just get hit by Greninja a couple of times, too. That'll knock it out. So, he's choosing not to go for that. His hand is actually set up pretty well. He does have an Archeops in the hand, and he knows that these Lost Box decks do not play any sort of hand disruption. So, he does have the Lumineon in his hand. He could bench for a Professor Burnett to discard 2 Archeops to the discard pile, and then play Ultra Ball after that, getting rid of those 2 cards that you saw he just pulled out. He's already deciding what he wants to get rid of with the Ultra Ball, which is great, to get the Lugia V-Star, and then he has the Summoning Star for the 2 full guys. So getting the Lumineon in play as opposed to the Squawkabilly is a little bit better, because it has 10 HP more. And using the Squawkabilly would have discarded at least 1 double turbo energy. So here Savi can actually attach the second double turbo to his active Lugia, fulfilling its full energy cost, and then use the Archeops to start charging up his benched Pokemon. So it looks like we are going to go for an escape rope here. Chris did use the concealed cards already. Attaches 4 turn to the Greninja, and we see just a pass there. So a pretty poor start there from Chris. Got 3 cards in the loss zone at the very least, which you do like to see, but not too much else. And we're going to see that Greninja possibly go down. And we do flip heads with the Mesagosa that we top decked to get the Archeops. Now we don't even have to use the Lumineon, because we're able to Ultra Ball away the 2 Archeops to get the Lugia V-Star, and that is huge for Savi here. Yeah, he did not have that Mesagosa going into this turn, but not only getting that, but so he won the coin flip and flipped heads on Capturing Aroma and Mesagosa. So Savi flipping all those heads right now. We are going to see a Boss's Orders bringing up the Comfey even. He does Luminion for that boss. I don't know. That feels a little bit greedy to me. I wouldn't want the Luminion in play against Lost Box at all. But of course, Lost Box could always go for the Greninja attack onto 2 Archeops and then finish them off with a Sableye, knocking both of them out simultaneously. So I do think that Greninja is actually more of a threat to get rid of than the Comfey, in all honesty. But we are going to knock out our own Mesagosa after charging our Lugia up, getting a Jet Energy and a Gift Energy onto it using one of our Archeops, choosing not to use our second Archeops. We did attach the double Turbo Energy for turn. We could have used the second Archeops to start charging up that second Lugia, but it's also pretty good to just keep some energy in deck in case you want to start charging up a different Pokemon in the future. Maybe you want to attack with an Archeops. Wouldn't be too bad. If maybe Luminion gets bossed up, you can use Archeops to get maybe a Jet Energy to the Luminion so it can retreat. But we do also have that Gift Energy on the Lugia. If somehow it goes down this turn, Savi does draw until he has 7 cards in hand, which is another reason to just use the Primal Turbo. And oh my god, Savi prized 2 Archeops as well. That is huge that he was able to get such a good start with that. And Chris, yeah, just a brick, and it basically didn't matter what Savi did. He just won that game 1 very cleanly. So we're going to go straight into game 2 here and see how it goes. So Lugia is still a powerhouse. It's just a little bit inconsistent for my taste. But if it gets going, man, it gets going. I think that Lugia also does have a good matchup into Lost Box, because you could always knock them out with a Cragalanche from the Tyranitar V, and Cragalanche will also not only one-shot a Sableye, but will also mill 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. So you could potentially mill some really great resources, such as Chorus's Experiment, as well as like Super Rod and Mirage Gate. So, looks like Savi opening up a bunch of energies this time, so not as ideal as before, but he does have the Squawk ability, so he could always use that in order to discard his hand and draw 6. Again, can only use that on the first turn, but he will be giving up some energy cards in order to do that. So, here he goes for the Nest Ball first. He's going to find himself probably that Lugia V that he pulled to the front. He's just prize checking just a little bit here. Put that to the bench. I think maybe attach one of those energies that are in hand to it. It can't be the single strike energy because it can only be attached to a single strike Pokemon. So I think maybe the double turbo would be fine. Or you could go for the jet energy as well. But I don't know. I think maybe just leaving the Lugia on the bench is a little bit better in case Chris gets some sort of really crazy hot start. So yeah, attach the double turbo to the Lugia and then just squawk and seize and see what you get. Did flip tails for the Mesagosa this time. If he were able to flip heads, he could have gotten rid of an Archeops. So you would love to see that. So here's the thing. Do you use the research or the squawk ability first? Oh, and that's an Urn as well, which is a little scary. If he's playing the version that got top 8 at NAIC that only played 2 Urns, I did play against that guy. I would be really concerned with actually getting rid of both an Urn and a single strike energy at this point. But it looks like we do draw into a Luminion. So we will be able to get the Summoning Star off next turn as long as we have the Burnett in deck if he's only playing 1. Personally, what I do is that list that got top 8. I think his name was Justin Brothers. What I do is I take out the 1/1 Urshifu line and I put in an additional Urn as well as an additional Burnett. And that's what my list for Lugia looks like. I think that just helps with the consistency a little bit. Because you are really concerned with getting those Archeops into the discard pile, so making sure you don't prize Burnett is a priority. Although, I guess if you really want to play Lugia and you're really afraid of Duraludon, I would still just take the same list, but I would still try to find room for an extra Urn somewhere. You shouldn't play just 2, in my opinion. So Chris getting a much better start this time. He is going to Battle VIP Pass for a couple of Comfey. He has that Greninja in play as well as the Cramorant start. Cramorant start is not as good, because now you have to move it in order to get into a Comfey, but we'll have to see. So Chris could choose to Lost Zone this Battle VIP Pass. He could play it to fill his whole bench, but I think what you have in play is already fine enough. I think you want to keep that Sableye, more than likely. Oh, no, I guess he's going to get rid of that. Okay. So he's going to play the game with only one Sableye this time, prioritizing the Clara over it. I guess he could always attack with Greninja multiple times, so the Clara in that case is better. We're going to get rid of a Mirage Gate as well. A little bit scary, but something you have to do this early in the game when you are not at 7 cards in the Lost Zone yet. So we are going to go for the Escape Rope. Savi is going to now re-promote that Squawkabilly. Chris also playing the League promo Escape Ropes. He's got 2 of those, so that's pretty cool. We've been playing in so many League challenges, and they always give you at least 1 pack, play pack for entry. This place is really great, POW Games and Comics in Port Ewen, because they always give you 2 prize packs every time you attend an event, at the very least. So I know I walked away with a Series 1 and a Series 2 prize pack, so that was cool to see. And it looks like just a pass from Chris. He's not even going to move his... Or I guess he put the Cramorant back active and spit. So yeah, that's a really good turn for Chris. Got 4 cards in the Lost Zone and was able to spit on a Squawkabilly. So we flipped the coin. Looks like we're going to reflip it. I think it was heads both times. I think it must have fallen off the table onto the windowsill, maybe. So we are going to grab the Archeops with the Mesagosa. We're going to Ultra Ball away. Double Archeops again. Savi just drawing the nuts. Flipping those coins. Man, again, I wish I could draw this way with Lugia. I would 100% still be playing that. That was my favorite deck before rotation, was Lugia. I knew that deck in and out. I don't like playing a deck unless I feel comfortable in the mirror. So I will never take a deck to a regional unless I know I can beat the mirror of it. That's my one stipulation. So when I was playing in Lugia format with Lugia, it was very important to know the mirror match in and out. So it looks like we are Ultra Balling for... We're going to choose the Evital. That's pretty good because, again, that can also knock out Sableyes for weakness. It'll actually do way more than enough because it does base 50. And then the single strike energies add 20 each. You need 2 of those on it to attack. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 90. And then times 2 for weakness on Sableye is 180. So way more than enough. So we're going to use our first Archeops of the turn here. We already have a double turbo energy on this Lugia. We do need to move the Squawkabilly. I do believe it has a 1 retreat cost. And we could attack with the Tyranitar here. So in order to knock out the Cramorant, you would need... Let's see, 2, 3 single strike energies. So we're gonna put a V-Guard to the Squawkabilly for the retreat. Maybe he has... Does he have another single strike energy in hand? No, well, yeah, he discarded 1 turn 1. He does. All right, so this is huge. He's going to be able to get the Cragalanche on a Cramorant. So that'll mill 2 cards for Chris. Savi just accidentally almost disrupting his entire board state, losing him the game. That would have been bad. If he flipped over his prize cards, that's like basically a game loss. So I would be very afraid of that happening. But mills 2 cards. Looks like Switch Cart and Nest Ball, not super relevant. I mean, the Switch Cart would have been nice to have, but Nest Ball maybe not so much. Not too super relevant. Now the question is Chris going to be able to get a knockout with Tyranitar or a knockout on the Tyranitar with his Dragonite, if I can think of words today. So we're going to put a V-Guard They have maybe about 35 minutes left. I know I started that round timer late. It just shows his prizes there. He's like, hey, look at this. Look at what I got in there. Isn't that great? So gets the Comfey with the heavy ball. And looks like his hand doesn't really have much going for it. He's got one switch cart. That'll put him at 6 in the Lost Zone, but he's still 1 away from being able to use Mirage Gate. Obviously take the Forest Seal. The Battle VIP is useless. So now he can bench the Raikou. He can use the Forest Seal. Looks like that's what he's going for. He doesn't have a V-Star marker out, but, I mean, as long as they both are aware. Got to use the Mesagosa as well, flipping heads. He's going to grab the Dragonite. I think maybe Chris should have used the Mesagosa first, grab the Dragonite, bench that with the Forest Seal Stone, because then he could have attacked into the Tyranitar with it if he had the Mirage Gate and attached for turn and the one last switch card. The Raikou is still really good for Lugia. It will one-shot a Lugia pretty much no matter what, because it does hit weakness. Getting rid of another Battle VIP pass is good. We do have the Chorus, and the Pokestop is gotten rid of as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're at 8. And then we are getting rid of the Forest Seal Stone and the Drapion. We're at 10 in the Lost Zone now, so we can attack with Sableye. That will be able to knock out the Squawkabilly, so Chris definitely still has a chance in this game for sure. Alright, here comes Mirage Gate. Is he going to set up the... Oh, looks like he is setting up the Raikou. Yeah, so in a future turn, if Chris finds that boss's orders, he could always just bring up the Lugia if it does not already attack on its own, and he will be able to finish that off. Or he could just do the 220 to the Oh, I see what he's doing. So he's doing the 220 to the Tyranitar now. He's going to force Savi to go for the second attack here. Attaching one more energy to the Tyranitar. This is actually a much better play than what I was thinking of. So he's gonna force the Tyranitar to knock out the Raikou. Oh, and he gets the Choice Belt. Oh, okay. That's even better. So gets the knockout. I think if you chose not to go for the Choice Belt there, yeah, you could have done 220 to the Tyranitar, and then on the next turn, you could Sableye knock out both the Tyranitar and the Squawkabilly simultaneously, while still having damage to put elsewhere. And then you don't have to worry so much about your opponent's Iono. Yeah, and you force them to either retreat their Tyranitar, or mill 4 cards from themselves with the second attack. So yeah, I think actually not putting the Choice Belt down was better. Now Savi is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 remaining prize cards. Ooh, and this also freed up the bench space for Savi to not only get the Luminion down for the Iono, but also to bench the Stonjourner. And if we see an Urn, we could actually see the attack with the Stonjourner this turn. Looks like no Urn, though, so we're not going to super punish Chris. Yeah, because the Stonjourner with the Stadium in play will actually knock out the... Raikou very easily with weakness. But Savi is just going to go for the hit 200 damage to the Raikou. Does have the V-Guard and the Gift, so even if the Lugia does go down on this next turn, Savi can draw up until he has 7 cards in hand, hopefully finding him that Urn that he needs in order to get either this Tyranitar or this Stonjourner going. And because Savi did play the Collapse Stadium, he also knocks his own Squawkabilly out of play. So that's no longer an option for Chris. So I guess doing my play that I said doesn't matter anymore. And now what Chris did was for sure the better play. Because, yeah, just getting punished by the Collapse Stadium. So maybe going for the... Yeah, maybe if there was a way that Chris could have avoided putting down the Raikou at all on this last turn and still get, like, just get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, attack with Sableye, put 1 on the one onto the... Yeah, just, yeah, knock out the Squawkabilly and then put the rest onto the Tyranitar so it doesn't hopefully matter how many Pokemon that Savi benches. But yeah, and it looks like we keep the Stadium in play as well. Lugia can discard the Stadium with its attack for 200. But chose to keep it in play just to make sure Chris only has 1 remaining bench space. And we do see that that Raikou goes back into the deck and then comes right back out with the Nest Ball. Going to use Concealed Cards, and Mirage Gate is going to set this Raikou up yet again. So now he does have the knockout on that Lugia. Because he will be hitting 20 plus 20 for each bench Pokemon, times 2 for weakness. Well, 20 plus 20 for each bench Pokemon, minus 30 for V-Guard, times 2 for weakness. Right? No, times 2 for weakness and then minus 30 for V-Guard. Yes, the V-Guard is after weakness. Even gets the attach for turn to the Sableye so that he can attack with it the next turn. The problem is he's going to probably have to set up this Raikou a 3rd time, as well as use Boss's orders to take the Luminion out. Otherwise, Savi will probably win because he'll be feeding 1-prizers to Chris. Another thing that Savi could have done is he could have discarded his own Collapse Stadium and then benched some other Pokemon so that he could bench like Tyranitar so that then he could knock out the Luminion. And, yeah, it looks like Savi shows the urn so that he can attack with the Stonejourner or Tyranitar, and Chris just concedes there. So Savi still did have 1 prize remaining. So I guess they could have played it out at least another turn, but yeah, at that point, it definitely was looking like Savi was going to win. So yeah, Chris definitely just bricked hard game 1 and just couldn't get what he needed game 2. A little unfortunate. So I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. All that good stuff listed up above. Follow the Twitch, the Discord, all those things linked in the description below. And we will see you guys next time for round 3 of this best of 3 League Cup.